Tonight, South Australia in lockdown as the state government races to prevent a super spread of coronavirus. And we will take a look at how the decision is affecting our region.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. As we bring you the bulletin tonight, South Australia is officially in lockdown. Authorities making the decision this morning as they scramble to contain a COVID outbreak rapidly spreading through Adelaide. Katrina Musson begins our coverage with a look at today's dramatic developments.
Go hard and go early. That's the message from the Premier as South Australia enters a 7-day lockdown.
We hate putting these restrictions in place, but we believe we have just one chance to get this right.
There are now only 5 reasons to leave home: for care and compassion, essential work, purchasing essential goods, medical reasons and exercise limited to people from the same household.
This is the time to stay put. This is the time not to move around. The virus doesn't have legs. It moves around when people move around. So if we stay put, the virus will stop and we'll be able to get on top of it.
It comes as a 5th person, a diner at one of the exposure sites, tested positive for the feared Delta variant.
This is moving very quickly. We first got a positive confirmation at 2:30 a.m. yesterday, and we are moving as quickly as we can to slow and stop the spread of this particular cluster.
As you can see behind me, people in Port Pirie are lining up to get tested, despite the cluster being located in Adelaide. Similar scenes also captured in Whyalla. Meanwhile, panic buying has hit supermarkets across the region, toilet paper flying off the shelves once again.
The shelves are getting emptied, but they're not. There's still a lot of choice still in there.
The member for Frome urging people not to panic. Parliament was also suspended today, with Mr Brock saying he was going to ask the Premier to clarify why regional areas needed the same harsh restrictions as metropolitan Adelaide.
Bearing in mind people are not allowed to travel, they're not allowed to go out of their houses other than for exercise and to go for medical and for vaccinations and also for food stuff. So I just question why regional South Australia has to have the same severe restrictions.
We've had school holidays and we've had lots of people travelling to different parts of the state. The other reason is what's been happening in Victoria on the other side of the border in Mildura and our concerns for the Riverland area.
A state tonight on edge. Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, businesses around the region say they will be impacted by the 7-day lockdown. A number of Port Lincoln ones had just experienced a bumper school holiday period, but now uncertainty about the future has returned.
Empty indoor dining rooms, tables and chairs stacked up and pushed to the side. Port Lincoln businesses now face an uncertain period.
It's what we have to do, so we want to make sure this is only for a short time rather than a long time.
The devastating news comes off the back of a busy school holiday period. These latest restrictions an untimely setback.
Disappointing in a lot of ways because we had a record day yesterday.
Much of the workforce now without work for the next 7 days as business owners grapple with the new reality.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, mate. They become part of your family, and we all want them to be here and earning a living, but if we can't operate and can't produce revenue, we have to tell them it's bloody hard.
Some already having to cancel upcoming bookings and events.
We're put off 2 functions that we had and then just our normal cellar door trade.
The Shop, Distributive and Allied Employees Association is calling for the public to treat frontline workers with respect.
Recognise that they are doing a job. They're putting themselves, their needs and their interests to the side so they can make sure that they can support their local community.
They're also concerned about the casual workforce, which will be without an income.
In the course of less than 24 hours, tens of thousands of South Australians have been left with no work.
However, businesses are remaining optimistic, urging locals to stick together.
Do the right thing, South Australia, and we'll get through this.
Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Community sport is also a victim of today's developments, with all leagues forced to cancel this weekend's fixtures. Officials across the state are hoping the situation doesn't get worse, with the future of their seasons potentially threatened.
The matches of many local leagues across the region now hanging in the balance. With South Australia now in lockdown, all sports activities are now cancelled for 7 days. Are local leagues already adapting to the situation, with the Port Lincoln Football League changing the date for its grand final?
Our grand final will be a week later, which is a problem because that coincides with Great Flinders' grand final, but we can still fit it in because they'll still have issues like we do.
The Whyalla Football League has learned to adapt quickly, but the president admits sudden announcements of lockdowns can be problematic.
It is an inconvenience, I have to say. People look forward going to the football, or any sport for that matter, and then all of a sudden this happens. So it is an inconvenience, I have to say.
He's asking all residents to do their bit, hoping life can return to normal as soon as possible.
I really feel for the shopkeepers and the like, you know, and it is an imposition, but let's face it, the alternative is not real flash. So folks, go out and get vaccinated.
Other sports leagues, including netball and soccer, have also cancelled games and training. However, football fans can still get their AFL fix, with the Crows and Power fleeing to Melbourne this afternoon. The 2 matches scheduled for the Adelaide Oval this weekend will be played in Victoria. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, COVID concerns force Broken Hill's aged care homes into lockdown. And we will have the rest of the day's news, including Bunnings could be coming to Port Augusta. Welcome back. Aged care homes across Broken Hill have plunged into a 14-day lockdown, despite no known cases in the city. Southern Cross Care Broken Hill taking precautionary action because of interstate infections. LACHLAN ITTER has more.
Management says the threat of people travelling to and from Mildura led to the decision for Southern Cross Care Broken Hill's facilities to go into lockdown.
For our visitors, it's devastating.
It comes after 2 cases and more than a dozen exposure sites known in Mildura were identified, with family members visiting from that city in the last 7 days and no hard border with Victoria. Precautionary action was taken.
We have visitors that come in every day to see their loved ones. Today, my job is to sort out a schedule for window visiting, Skype.
Families separated again by the virus, but will be able to keep in touch and drop off care packages. Staff following a strict regime to make sure they're not posing a risk.
They get monitored throughout the shift, so our registered nurses check on all of our staff in what we call a safety huddle every few hours. They check for symptoms, change in temperatures, or if they're feeling unwell.
And soon all staff will have to be vaccinated against COVID-19.
The legislation is that as of the 1st of September that all aged care staff have to be vaccinated. We had a really good uptake before that was even mandated.
Also pleading with the broader community to follow the rules so there's no chance of COVID leaking into aged care.
The nursing home is the most vulnerable members of our community. Be safe, wear your mask.
The restrictions will be in place until at least the 2nd of August.
Turning to the rest of the day's news now, and a man has lost his licence and had his car impounded after being caught drink driving in Port Pirie. At about 1:15 this morning, police stopped a red Mazda utility on Senate Road. The driver, a 48-year-old Davern Park man, was then submitted to a breath test. Police alleged he returned a positive reading of .102, more than double the legal limit. He was reported for drink driving and will face court at a later date. One of the country's biggest and most well-known retail chains may soon be coming to Port Augusta. Plans have been released for a proposed Bunnings warehouse outlet on an empty site in the west of the city.
The landmark Australian brand and its fabled sausage sizzles may soon be on its way to Port Augusta. Submitted by Augusta Collective Proprietary Limited, The proposed Bunnings store is adjacent to both the Stewart and Eyre highways.
Competition isn't bad, you know. The existing place is a fairly big organisation. If Bunnings come, well, then he'd have to compete.
It'll cater for such a wide area, the far north and the west coast.
The site, which neighbours the Standpipe Motel, spans over 5,000 square metres, with a petrol station also granted planning consent.
As I stated when I ran as the Mayor of Port Augusta, the door of the council is always open to any new business looking to reside in Port Augusta. We always look forward to new opportunities and creating new employment for our local people and also our regional areas.
The development would provide 142 car parking spaces, with a new road connecting Dorr Street to the Stewart Highway also planned. Locals cautiously welcoming the move.
They have an extensive range. It will create a bit of healthy competition in town.
It'll be helpful, more cheaper. It'll help the community more.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Members of the Kadina Show Society are gearing up for a big show next month as they celebrate a major milestone. The showgrounds will look a lot different this year, with renovations now completed thanks to a Commonwealth Government grant.
A major transformation in time for a big celebration.
It will be our 150th show and also be celebrating 150 years as part of the Kadina community.
The Kadina Show Society has been hard at work upgrading the showgrounds after receiving a Commonwealth Agricultural Show Society grant worth more than $130,000. From replacing fencing to installing memorial bricks at the entrance, removing an old asbestos building and 2 trotting mounds. There is now extra space for upcoming and future shows.
Very excited, lots and lots of things are planned and it's reinvigorating the area with all the work that's been done on the showgrounds now to open it up.
The Copper Coast Mayor says she is excited to see the show return this year.
I remember going there as a small child myself. I remember taking my children there, and it is such an iconic event in Kadina.
The 2-day event is set to be held on August 21 and 22, with the Society monitoring COVID restrictions and advice.
Come along and have a good time. We will have all the normal things. We have sideshows, we will have show bags, all those traditional things that you would even see in the Royal Show.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Monday Bash organisers watching on nervously as COVID threatens a festival. And the ACCC issues a warning about the latest online scam targeting our region. Investigations are continuing into a fire which has destroyed a house at Mangalo near Cleve. Shortly before 5:30 yesterday afternoon, crews were called to a property on Mangalo-Keilpa Road. 3 trucks and 15 firefighters attended. However, the dwelling couldn't be saved. Damage is estimated at $350,000. The MFS says at this stage it is not being treated as suspicious. Organisers of the Broken Hill Monday Bash say it's still full steam ahead, despite the event being postponed until September. They're confident their COVID management plan will keep the 10,000 festival goers as safe as possible.
A lot can change in 2 weeks. This was the Big Red Bash at Birdsville earlier this month. Scenes like that, hard to imagine now.
There's been a lot of things happening since, obviously with more hard border closures and, the outbreak in Sydney growing and so forth.
That led to the decision to postpone the Monday Bash from this time next month until late September, following last week's community outrage over a Sydney film crew travelling to Broken Hill. It's a move broadly supported by locals.
Be patient with the organisers. Greg's doing a great job. He's put your health as a priority.
The event will be run under strict COVID protocols, social distancing, sanitising and check-ins across the site. Rapid testing also available for attendees.
People are able and happy to do that. They're only waiting an hour or so for their results, so they come forward, they get tested, they isolate in the medical area and results come through.
If the COVID landscape doesn't improve by September, the bash will be postponed until next year. The deal with the state government is for the event to be held here until 2023.
They are quite flexible as well, and we'll move the whole thing back if it comes to that.
But for now, they're planning and hoping this time it will go to plan. Lachlan, ITTER, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The ACCC is warning the community about scammers pretending to be from well-known organisations. An estimated $7.2 million has been stolen this year. ScamWatch say they've received more than 6,000 reports of scammers trying to convince the public to download remote access software. The process allows criminals to take control of computers and access personal details. People aged 65 and older are the most affected, losing more money than any other age group. Turning to sport now, and it was a busy weekend of action across the region. In Whyalla, the local go-kart club held their annual city titles, inviting the best racers from across the state to compete in the Steel City. Mark Zeta has the details.
Go-kart races from all across the state converged on the outskirts of Whyalla, where the local go-kart club held the city titles on Saturday. There were plenty of tight heats, with drivers competing to see who would take out the checkered flag. In the category of the 4SS Supermax Heavy, James Place took out pole position, followed by Steve Skinner and Ian Greenshields. The youngest to compete in the city titles were the Cadet 9 category, all aged between 7 and 10 years old. In the other categories, John Sakuro took out first place in the 4-stroke sprint senior heavy category, while Brian Sampson took out pole position in the Tag 125 championship. Moving to netball, and in Whyalla, True Blue defeated Warriors, while Kiwi were too good for Ravens, coming away with a 79-14 goal victory. In Port Pirie, Blue Wren were 10-goal victors against SM Celtic, while Solomon Town had a solid win against Port. The A1 Intersport Player of the Week is Blue Wren's Samara Walk. Moving on to soccer now, and the Northern Demons went down to the Vipers FC at St Clair Oval. While in the Amateur League, Savoy came away with a draw against Salisbury Inter. Their next match is against the Southern Knights on the road. In Whyalla soccer, both matches finished in draws. Those results, good news for first place Steel, who had the bye. While in Broken Hill, the match between West and Celtic ended at halftime due to an injury, with Wests ahead by 1 goal. St Joe's defeated Alma. Finally, in the Outback Rugby League preliminary finals, the Wildflowers defeated the Silver City Scorpions 56-4, while the Pantu Warriors were 2-point victors in their match against Menindee. That's it for the weekend sports wrap. If you would like your team to be featured in a future bulletin, let us know through our Facebook page.
Stay with us after the break. A new function centre opens in the Flinders Ranges. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. A gala ceremony has officially launched a new event venue in the Southern Flinders Ranges. Premier Stephen Marshall helping officially open the new facility in the Bundaleer Forest Reserve. The event featuring a special Welcome to Country, followed by a tree planting to mark the historic occasion. Maple and Pine was built thanks to $660,000 of government funding and more than $500,000 worth of in-kind donations from the community. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather across our region over the next few days. With the details, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. Wet conditions across most parts of our region today. We will see some reprieve tomorrow, but then the rain will come again. From 3 p.m. today, there was a shower or two for Broken Hill, a top of 14. Port Pirie reached 16 degrees. Cooper Pedy got to 20 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Port Augusta and Whyalla were both 16. Adelaide, Kadina, Port Lincoln and Cleve all reached 13. Woodner was 15. Clare got to 10 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, areas of cloud across southern and eastern areas in an unstable airstream and prefrontal trough are causing a few showers, clearer further north and west near a high pressure ridge. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southwesterly winds 20 to 30 knots, easing to around 10 to 15 knots in the late evening, seas around 1.5 to 2.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell around 1.5 and 2.5. A short time ago, there were several warnings current for the region. The Bureau issued a marine wind warning, a warning to sheep graziers, and a frost warning for some areas for Wednesday morning. Port Lincoln and Cleve both 13, possible late shower for Woodner also 13 degrees, while a cloudy 14. Cloudy for Port Augusta set to top 15 degrees there. Kadina cloudy and 13. Port Pirie cloudy and 14. Similar conditions for Clare 10 and Broken Hill sunny and 12 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, showers returned for Thursday except for in Cooper Pedy where it's set to be 23 degrees. Wet conditions across the rest of the region, 23 to be the max, 12 will be the region's lowest top temperature. Partly cloudy for Cooper Pedy and Broken Hill on Friday. Showers across the rest of the region, temperatures to be in the mid to high teens. And windy and wet conditions forecast for Saturday, gusty for Cooper Pedy, showers for the rest of the Gulf, temperatures in the mid-teens, 17 will be the region's high, while 13 will be the lowest top temperature for the Gulf. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. Thoughts with everyone as we enter the lockdown. Remember to check in with loved ones and look after yourselves. I'll see you a little later with a weather update. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Until then, on behalf of the entire team, enjoy your evening. Good night.